Panouche on the saxophone, our nighttime band. My next two guests have a very interesting company. It's called Genesis XT. These two gentlemen have put together a premise where there's 2.26 billion VHS videotapes in this world, and they put together a program to be able to take them out of the landfill and make them useful, and also help people who may be in difficult or challenging employment situations, and get them a job and help them get into the workforce. Really good. These guys have been around for 20 years, won some awards. If you've ever heard of the Clink Coffee Project, which reintegrated prisoners and brought coffee to businesses, really interesting stuff. My next guest, please welcome Graham Lewis and Mr. Philip Yan. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the good stuff that you do. You know, the Clink Coffee thing, I went on your website. It's really wonderful that you've created positions of employment with good jobs for prisoners who are being reintegrated after serving their time and paying their debt to society. But that, in addition to the fact that now you're starting something else, is just taking stuff out of landfill. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. VHS or videotapes has been a problem for such a long time now, and there's basically nobody knows what to do with them. So we took a look at this with the Recycling Council of Ontario and figured there must be a solution. So we spent many hours breaking down these tapes and realized that we can recycle them completely, except for the magnet tape inside. So that's what we did. We thought, well, let's bring together some
so the largest portion, like the plastic case and all the rest. The magnetic tape is actually the smallest element of the whole thing.
It is, and that's actually the only part that we yet cannot recycle, although we do have some tricks up our sleeve where we may be looking at that. So we'll introduce that later. But yes, so out of the recycling of the tapes, we've managed to put the process together that will employ persons with barriers to employment.
Now, Philip, you've been in this business for over 20 years. You've won awards. I mean, you've done work with major clients like the Schulich School of Business. I mean, this is a for-profit company, but what you're doing is basically exemplifying what we hope everybody would do, is doing good for society at the same time as making money. How did you come across this VHS and videotape recycling idea?
Well, we always try to find a way to do something good to the society. In fact, it has been in our DNA all these 20 years. It was after the Clean Coffee, we're saying that what do we learn? What do we learn from the whole project? And now what can we do now to take those experience and put it in a new use? And we've been talking, and we figured out that VHS tape actually has a big issues that is being neglected for a long time, and we figured out how we can actually solve that.
Well, it was interesting being a person who's involved in television. I remember when the tsunami took place, what that did was create such a need for videotape that it forced the television industry to go digital before it, and it was not necessarily ready because of when the tsunami knocked out so many of those plants in Japan. The source to be able to supply videotape was put in jeopardy. It was becoming more dear, so everybody quickly transferred themselves over to digital, which then means all those videotapes, VHSs that we have are now defunct. I mean, it's kind of like cassettes and DVDs and then digital. So what is the actual process that you're doing to the plastic?
Well, the plastic actually has 5 screws on each of them.
Hey, that's a nighttime show that you've got. I'm joking.
That's right.
We're always recycling nighttime shows, so good.
The problem that we have is the recycling was not part of the plan originally. So all of these screws are not in the same place, and some of the screws have different format. So what we have to do is actually using a screwdriver to take them out and take it apart. There are 2 types of plastic, there are 2 types of metals, and actually put them in separate them, and then we can actually grind it down to pellets like this size, and then we can recycle them.
Now, some of the people we've talked about an enterprise that gives meaningful work to people who maybe have challenging backgrounds or characteristics, which puts them in a tougher position to gain employment. I'll give this one to you, Graham. How do you go through the process to select those people that are offered this position?
Well, the new premises where we'll be operating from in April actually brings those persons to to us. They're persons from all walks of life, new immigrants, persons with a criminal record or having had a criminal record, persons with mental health issues or been through the mental health system. And they exist in a place called the Learning Enrichment Foundation, and agencies refer them through to us as well. So they're almost in the place where we're operating. We have a hand-picked audience of potential employees, and we're looking for those not always most in need, but those most suited to the process at hand. And that's and that doesn't necessarily mean someone that is showing signs of having been through mental health. It's showing signs of having the courage to face it and move on with the rest of their life.
You know, if more companies in this world would take your position of being able to create a scenario, a vertical where they can make money and still return back to society, we'd be in a much better way. Your Clink Coffee, I thought was very interesting. Give our folks a little bit of background on that effort that you did. And this is all through Genesis XD. This is through your company.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Clink Coffee, I was formerly with St. Leonard Society of Toronto, and
so that's a benevolent society which helps integrate people who
are returning home from prison.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's, you know, we always look at that differently. These folks have paid their debt to society. I think the recidivism rate in Canada is very low. So, you know, they have to do something. They have to do something and get something meaningful. And you created that in the Clink Coffee.
So I thought, how do we integrate white-collar professional executives who have a criminal record back into society? They have such an amount of massive skills. What a waste. So let's create a coffee company that allows them to utilize their skills, but at the same time then allows us to bring the entry-level persons returning home from prison back into society as well. And so that's what we did. And the initial thought was, let's sell to other charity and social enterprises. And it grew and grew and grew, and you know, it's now.
So yeah, tell us, where are you now with that?
Well, it's actually being currently operated by St. Leonard Society of Toronto.
Terrific.
And it's out there, it's working. Clink Coffee's actually just been named the coffee of the Athletes Village for Pan Am Games.
Yeah, you actually won an award, Coffee of the Athletes Village.
Coffee of the Athletes Village.
Pan Am Games on CBC.
Games.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then it won a Social Good Design Award.
Social, that's what I wanted to mention, yeah.
Yeah, so Philip actually created the actual brand and the design, and Clink actually is part of when you have the spoon in a coffee cup and it's clink, clink, clink.
Yeah.
But it's also the name for prison.
You also got a dog on the front.
But with a halo. But it has a halo above its head.
Well, what we're saying is the dog, like bulldog, is so tough, can still have a halo, can still do good.
Yeah.
Well, I own a bulldog, and I tell you, if you crinkle tinfoil, my dog runs with, well, it doesn't have a tail, but it runs away. Their bark sometimes is worse than their bite, but anybody who's not allowed in our house, challenge. So I want to give you an opportunity to connect with our folks at home, Genesis XD. Give us some of your coordinates, and you've actually got some interesting news to announce as well today on the show.
Well, absolutely. If you want to get to know more about the information about our project, you can go to projectgetreal.com. Get real, R-E-E-L. projectgetreal.com. You can actually find out all the information about the project. We're going to Indiegogo to crowdfund to support this project. We're going to put this project, and the location is going to be in Learning Enrichment Foundations, LEF, in Toronto.
Terrific. Philip Yan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Graham Lewis, Genesis XD. Worthy, hold on to your VHSs, because we can take them away from the landfill and make it something that you can use.